All right, here's a good Republican joke. Why did a Republican bring a ladder to a bar? Because they heard the drinks were on the house. No, that's not a good joke. I found it on Google. I thought it would be funny. Hi, welcome. My name is Chaida. I am a Black conservative content creator and writer, and this is my podcast where I discuss relevant issues surrounding people, society, culture, and politics. And as always, I love to start off each episode with a scripture. And today you can find the scripture I'm about to read in Matthew 22, verse 37. It says right here, Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." Love your neighbor as yourself. When I mean by people, I mean the pro illegal immigration fanatics. Whenever talk about immigration, border security, or country, and they talk about mainly undocumented immigrants, they love to throw this scripture at us. Love your neighbor as yourself, or take love thy foreigner, or something of that sense, because they believe that Christians are supposed to accept everything that comes our way when it comes to illegal immigration. And if we don't, then they always hit us with this phrase: there is no hate like Christian love.
Bang, smile with the same. Love what you got and remember what you ain't. Gotta taste it good with the bang.
There is this woman who has taken social media by storm, and she goes by the name of Kathleen Martinez. Who is she? Well, Kathleen Martinez is an immigration attorney based in California right now. She used to, for the longest time, used to live in Texas, and that's probably where she started up her legal firm. I still believe, even to this day, she still has an office there, but now her and her family are relocated in California. She has a bachelor's from Mount St. Mary's University, which is based in Los Angeles, and she earned her Juris Doctorate of Law degree from Thomas Jefferson School of Law, which is in San Diego. A couple years back, her and her husband decided to start a immigration firm known as Martinez Immigration to help immigrants to gain legal status at a very affordable cost. I think the broad surface, I think what she and her husband and what her team does over at her firm is amazing work. I follow her on social media, mainly on Instagram, and I could see some of the things that she posts. I think she is very passionate. She's very good at what she does. I wouldn't call her dumb or anything ill regarded, because she went to school with the intention of doing this for a living. I'm not sure of her entire story. I'm not sure why she went to law school. I'm not even sure if that becoming an immigration attorney was the end point, was the end goal for her. But regardless, she's very passionate. She has done her due diligence, and she's always on social media going on these ranting echo chambers and just overall just spewing hatred towards the current administration. And she clearly doesn't love some of the things that are happening in the immigration community going on in today's politics, especially when it comes to ICE and immigration reform and things of that nature. She's pretty much very anti-Trump and very, well, pro illegal immigration, from what I can tell. But this doesn't take away the fact that she is a very educated woman and that she does her due diligence, and she just wants to help people from disenfranchised backgrounds gain legal status and being able to have a life here in America. And she wouldn't do all this if she didn't think that America wasn't a great place or a beautiful country, or was worth leaving behind everything that you ever known in your native land and coming here with little money, no ties, no connections, no resources, and start fresh. I really don't think she believes she would fight this hard if she didn't believe that America wasn't at least a great nation to live in. Anyways, that's who she is at her core. I'm going to play a few clips for you, and then we're going to digest what she's saying and things like that. First off, here's the first clip where she's like suing Trump. I'm going to play the video right now. Girl, who are you suing? Why are you suing him for? Like, I know since President Trump has taken office, so many immigration-based organizations, the UCLA even, and so many attorneys in the immigration, involved in the immigration realm when it comes to the law, they are all suing Donald J. Trump and his administrations for violations of the federal law, constitutional rights, and things of that nature. I only have done very skim research on this and seeing if there's any legitimacy or if they're just suing him just to sue him. I really do believe she's just jumping on this bandwagon because obviously she has some strong feelings towards the administration, and I don't think it's going to go that far. I really don't. Even though I didn't do that much research, if it was going that far, she would share more about it, what that process looks like, and if she really has a good case. And if she had a really good case, she would be sharing that with her audience, with her followers, but she's not. Here is the next clip.
Can't just detain any undocumented immigrant. And that's because everyone physically located in the United States, whether they are documented or not, is entitled to due process, which means that everyone is entitled to their day in court. The only people who ICE can detain without a hearing are people who already had one, meaning they were convicted of an aggravated felony and they are in jail, or they already have a removal order. Everyone else.
Okay. First off, ICE, which stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they do have a right to detain any illegal alien, any person who's here undocumented. They do have a right to detain them. Yes, and in a lot of cases, they do need a warrant if they want to place arrests, if they want to search the person, and if they want to go take things further. But their job is basically to obtain people who are here without a legal status. That is the main purpose or the main basis of ICE, because their job is to make sure that they're accounting for each and every single individual who's here, who's coming into this country, and who's exiting this country even. So yeah, they have a right to detain anyone. And as an immigration attorney, I do believe she knows this innately.
Criminals, not legally, not factually, not even emotionally in your half-wit brain. If you're claiming on the internet that every undocumented immigrant is a criminal, you are wrong in every single sense of the word. Every time I post this explanation on the internet, some Appalachian idiot with a Google Law degree posts this, which is true because entering the country illegally is a crime, but why the fuck do you think that every undocumented immigrant entered illegally? Because this country is so profoundly uneducated on immigration that this is why we're in the place that we are in. Immigration law is extremely complex and always changing. That's why you need a whole ass doctorate degree to practice it. You can enter the country legally and then lose status. It happens all the time, which makes you undocumented. Being undocumented does not make you a criminal. It makes you a violation of civil law.
Yes, she is correct about this. Coming into this coming across the border illegally is considered a violation of civil law and not the criminal law. And most of the time when people come here improperly, it's considered misdemeanor at best, and we want to look at the criminal sense. And I've done a lot of extensive research. A lot of people who have came here the right way, the legal way, and have lost status for a whole host of reasons and circumstances that may have changed. I still think, I still think that they should be held accountable if they're not taking the proper steps in order to keep their legal status or maintain legal status. It's one thing if you're coming into this country illegally and you're staying here and you're not really making it well known to the government that you are here without reason. And it could be for very valid reason. For example, you're trying to escape violence and communism from another country, so you came here because you had no other choice. And if that's the case, you have to seek asylum. I think a lot of people look at our immigration system and they think, well, we could just do whatever you want, and it is going to be like that for the most case, because America has really become so soft when it comes to illegal immigration for the last couple of years that I think we just have become so soft on illegal immigration that we are going to be paying a huge consequence for it. Next clip.
Still safe to apply for citizenship? The answer is yes, but you still need to take care of the following issues before you apply. 1, taxes. You need to take care of your taxes if you owe the government money. If you have unpaid taxes, get on a payment plan to pay them. If you skipped a year, go ahead and start paying that as well. 2, international travel. Look at your history with
It is always a good time for someone to apply for citizenship in this country. Yay, let's make more Americans. Listen, if America is not going to be having babies, then at least we can be naturalizing more patriots. That's just my final thought on it. Anyways, we should always be happy when people want to make that initial step to become a citizen, especially of this great nation, because they see the value in what it means to be an American. And they know innately that we are a pillar in the world, and that people in most countries will die to have an ounce of what we have when it comes to our civil rights, our constitutional rights, our liberty, our independence, our freedom. So let's not really take that for granted. And I don't think it is really her place, Kathleen Martinez, to really be turning people, like spin people the other direction, because I do believe that this nation is a beautiful country and we are filled with so many beautiful, diverse people who come from all different backgrounds. And the reason why it makes us so unique is that we can come from all these different backgrounds and come together at the table and see each other as fellow brothers and sisters, fellow good Americans, fellow neighbors, and so on and so forth. I know I did a lot of rambling and I talked a lot about this Kathleen Martinez character. However, I do want to make one thing a point, and I think I made this very clear in the beginning, towards the beginning of this video. However, I do believe that she has a good heart and she's definitely coming into this legal space when it comes to immigration reform and helping a lot of people in this country gain legal status if they lost legal status, and trying to do her part in helping so many people who came across the border, whether legal or not, and trying to build a better life for themselves. I really do. However, I think she needs to cool it down with the anti-Trump rants. I know that this administration isn't going to be very popular when it comes to people like her and when it comes to social media space, because a lot of people are so quick to go against anything that Donald J. Trump does or his team does. However, she say this with this idea. She does all this with the idea that Trump is has lots of enemies. That he and his team and this administration are in the minority when it comes to the way that people look at immigration today. And I think that could be so far from the reality. The reason why Donald J. Trump is in office right now is because of immigration issues. He is in office because he campaigned on making sure that we were going to be more stricter on border security and making sure that people who were here illegally, and not only here illegally, but also continue to do more crimes, make sure that they're held accountable and to the fullest extent. And sometimes that means, in most cases, deportation. I think a lot of people in this country are so sick in how we have let illegal immigration corrupt our nation. And that is why they put in their vote for Donald J. Trump. She's always on social media ranting how he doesn't have the money for it. He can't really do this. It's going to take a real huge hit to the economy. We're just deporting undocumented immigrants left and right. But here's the point. Here's the thing. Us being that terribly reliant on immigrants is a bad thing. And here are some few ideas that I have to share when it comes to illegal immigration and why illegal immigration hurts not only us as Americans, but it also hurt immigrants themselves. And here's one way. The rule of law. Being soft on border security means that we are being soft on the laws of this country. If we are going to have people here who are going to respect the laws of our country, we have to enforce immigration law at the very least. Because without border, we don't have a sovereignty. And without sovereignty, we don't have a country. We need to be a country of law and order, and we need to be a country of sovereignty. We need to be upholding our immigration law at the highest standard possible. Because people who come here and don't really respect our immigration laws, they will come here thinking that they can respect all our other laws. And that's why in a lot of cases, you'll see cases on TV or in the courtroom or whatever of people, mainly undocumented aliens or illegal aliens in this country, committing so many heinous crimes, not only towards Americans but also immigrants as well. And you see that because they do not have a respect for the laws of our land, and they don't have it for, if they're not going to have respect our immigration laws, they're definitely not going to respect our other laws. Nextly, it's a real national security risk to be letting people in and out, mostly into this country, without having any type of paper trail or trace or whatever way to keep track of how many people are coming into this country. Since looking back in recent years, there have been statistics out of how many known terrorists have been on the FBI or other agencies' watch, and seeing how people who are deemed terrorists are coming into this country and then just being they're just they're just being they're just real danger to us. They're just being a real danger to us, and I think we need to have a much bigger handle on this thing. Next, it is a huge economic burden to be having so many undocumented immigrants in this country. A lot of people like to make the argument that undocumented immigrants contribute so much to our economy, and that could be very true in some sense. However, that means that we're becoming too reliant on immigrants. We don't have enough Americans coming into the workforce and contributing to the economy, to society. And not only that, a lot of these undocumented immigrants come into states like California and New York, and they get free healthcare. They get their housing covered. They get their food covered. Sometimes they're offered cell phones and things of that nature, and they're just given this much better life. And why is it that we're spending money on social programs for people who are not really supposed to be here in the first place? Meanwhile, we have hundreds of foster kids in this country, across this country, sleeping on the floors of social services departments. They're sleeping in hotels. They age out of the system, and sometimes they end up going to jail or addicted or going to homelessness. And it's this constant battle because states don't have the proper finances or resources to help them, but somehow they're going to manage to pull out millions upon millions of dollars to house and to help undocumented immigrants. Yes, they did come from very hard backgrounds in their native countries, but that doesn't really give them the right to just come here, hop the border or jump it or come through it and just really take up our resources like that. We need to be putting Americans first when it comes to social programs. Next, it's really unfair to the the millions of legal immigrants who have come into this nation, who, yes, spent years waiting to make sure they had the thumbs up from the American government to come here. And not only that, are paying fees and taxes and are spending years and years in this country working and contributing to the economy without being able to vote, without being able to voice their opinion on issues that matter to them, like voting. And they do this with this sole idea of maybe one day they could be Americans. And sometimes for a lot of them, that doesn't happen for years to come. I know because I am a daughter of immigrants. Yes, I grew up in the foster care system, but I am a daughter of immigrants. And I know for a fact that my mom came here and she spent years in America before she lived here for years before she became American system, and that was a couple years after I was born. And then lastly, you have the increased amount of human trafficking. If you know what I mean. Yes, you have this huge exploitation of women and children who are being brought from other countries through the border. And there's so many harsh stories of women and children being left for you know what, and that it's just so awful stories of coming out. If we being pro legal immigration, being pro open borders does really nothing for nobody. It only creates so much chaos, so much pain, so much suffering. That all can be avoided if we had stronger border security and make sure we implicate every measure to make sure that we have people coming across this border more smoothly, but also we are able to be more diligent about who is coming across our border. And that's why I have no respect for the president of Mexico. I'm not really clear on her last name, so I'm just gonna post her picture and her name here, right here. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not have really any respect to her, really any respect for her. And Donald Trump was right to push back at her earlier this year when it came to some of the immigration issues happening in the country, because she does nothing for her own people. And you can really see on social media that who is really educated on some of the things that are going on in Mexico and who really isn't. And a lot of people think because she's a woman, she's some sort of girl boss, and anything she does that's against Donald Trump is because she's smarter than him, cooler than him, so on and so forth. And that's not really the case. She's actually a really terrible leader for her country, and if she was doing everything she can to help her fellow Mexicans and help them have a more stable life, then there wouldn't really be so much strife and so much chaos happening at the border. She would make sure that her side is being handled on her. She'll be making sure that her country is being handled on her side of the fence, meaning that she'll have her country intact on the other side of the border. But she's not. And yet she wants to go on social media. She wants to do press conferences. She wants to play a nice, a good game of who has the bigger dick with Donald J. Trump. And it's just like, why? Why? Yeah, I really didn't want to go there, but I went there. I'm sorry. Anyways, if you have made it to this part of the video, oh my gosh, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble and talk about this serious issue that needed to be addressed, because I do love this country so much, and I believe that if we do things more proactively and we're very diligent about coming across immigration reform and making more stricter border security and just keeping that sovereignty, we can have the nation that we once had before and that we still have. America is not lost. There's still so many of us that are still willing to fight and do everything we can to make sure that we don't lose the country that we so love. Anyways, if you made it to this video, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like the video, and leave a comment telling me how I did. And if you're watching this on any other platform besides YouTube, you can most definitely give me a follow and like the video and leave a comment as well. If you'd like to get to know me more and gain some insight into my life, you can follow me on any of my social media links that are provided in the show's description. Make sure you are subscribed to my Substack. Yeah, guys, I finally have a Substack where I try to write weekly articles on things that matter to me. And now this, if you are a returning guest to my show, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your continued support. You don't know how much it means to me knowing that so many of you care so much about the things that I have to say, and that you're willing to hear me out and hear my opinions on various issues. So yes, it's definitely appreciated. Anyways, love you always. I'll see you in the next time. Yours truly. Have a lovely day.